NZXT Cam. Monitor your games while playing. To learn more about it, check out the description. Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for Badgers picks for the week of April 12th. Let's see who's free this week and which 4 champions I'm going to recommend. Free this week, we're going to be seeing Fiddlesticks, Caitlyn, Galio, Jin, Khazix, Leona, Malachi, Nami, Rise, and Aurelion Sol. And as for my first recommendation, I'm going to give it over to Malachi. Malachi is currently one of the best top laners again in the game. It's the buffs that definitely helped him and the meta shift, but the buffs definitely helped him the most out of all of those things. As you saw in the TSM vs Immortal games, if you watched them over the weekend, there's just an insane amount of damage absorption that Malachi can just absorb, to put it lightly, or put it kind of blankly. It's ridiculous. He was zoning 3 ADCs by himself because that's just what he does. That's Malachi. He gets his ult on, he gets tanky items, and he still deals okay-ish damage for a tank, and is just there to soak up the damage and be a frontline for his team. He's just really good in that sense. So if you don't own him, this is a good week to try him out for sure. Definitely not the funnest in the laning phase in some cases, but he's a good tank overall and someone you should be playing right now if you're looking for strong champions. Second recommendation for this week is going to go over to Jin. He's also very good still. He did get some minor nerfs, but there was like a mild buff too. He's still in a really good position. I still love his playstyle. Still incredibly pivotal in fights and can really deal a lot of damage from being outside of fights due to his increased range. I will say though, you still need to be very careful when it comes to positioning with him, because if you just kind of overly commit to something, you can easily be punished for it. So you definitely need to be aware of his positioning a little more so than some other champions that have ways to get out of sticky situations, like Tristana, who can just jump out, or even Corki, who can also just pretty much jump out of any fight if they're a little bit overextended. You don't really have that with Jin. So be careful with him when you are playing him, but other than that, no, he still does plenty of damage. Really, don't be afraid. This is one mistake I see. Don't be afraid to use your ultimate at the beginning or middle of a team fight if you're in a position like you're not quite to the fight, but you want to do significant damage, because it does a lot of damage. Don't just use it to last hit. That's not really the greatest idea, and typically might not get you anything in return, but get it down when people are clumped up and get that damage out, because that 4th shot is huge. Make sure you land it. My third recommendation for this week is going to go over to Khazix. Khazix has been coming back up in play. He did also get buffs. It has definitely helped him out as a champion. He's still not top tier, but he's definitely in a much better position to carry games. And he's way easier to snowball with the positive buffs that he saw with the cooldown on his Q and I believe on his E? Yeah. So those have definitely helped him out, because at the beginning of the season he wasn't, I don't know, he wasn't non-existent, but he definitely was not in a very impactful spot. So the changes to him now are going to be helping him out quite a bit. Not a lot to really say about Ka. His early clear is not terrible, but it's not great, so make sure you're a little bit safe in case somebody might invade you. But besides that, just make sure you gank lanes and are proactive on the map. If you just sit back with Khazix and farm, you're not going to really explode into a lead. That's not the kind of champion he is, so you got to make sure you go out and make impactful plays, or maybe invade and find somebody who is alone so you get the proc bonus on that passive. So you need to make sure you find them isolated. But other than that, he's a good champion. Try him out now this week since he's free. And my fourth and final recommendation coming to this week is going to be Galio. Galio might seem like a bit of an odd pick. I know he's not a very popular champion, but honestly, he's not like the world's weakest. He just sometimes finds hard matchups. If somebody counterpicks an AD into Galio, then you have a bad time trying to stack any bits of your passive. But you shouldn't just play Galio because of his passive, you know, like you shouldn't just, oh, I'm only going to stack magic resist because I get ability power from it. Like, that works, but you shouldn't just do that if you're up against an AD or even some AP matches. You don't need to just max out magic resist. He does need other items in there to help facilitate him as a champion. That being said, though, you need to make sure you take advantage of his passive. And the reason I'm recommending him is because of another champion who's free this week, which is Aurelion Sol, who does plenty of magic damage. I'm not saying that Galio is a direct counter to him, but I think he can actually hold his own against him in lane quite well, and you can build proactively with magic resist to kind of negate anything that Sol is going to be doing to him. So I really like Galio as like a sleeper pocket pick when you see really bursty mages come out, because he has good range for the most part, besides his auto attacks, which can be difficult, but just get a chalice early because you're going to get damage from it and magic resist, and you'll have plenty of mana to basically clear with your Q in the lane if you need to farm that way. But he's good, honestly. If you just get decent with him, you can actually kind of bully people with him, and his shield gives you life back, so make sure you use your shield when they burst on you, because you basically get healed for free. So good champion, honestly. Just not always utilized and always fits, which is why he's never super high on tier lists. But he has his places in certain matchups. Try him out. Those are the champions that, of course, are free this week. And those are the 4 that I'm going to recommend. Now, as for the other ones, I'm going to just always say little brief things about them at the end of these videos. Fiddlesticks, honestly, in a pretty good spot right now. Not terrible. Might want to try him out, too, if you really want to. Caitlyn, also very impactful. We've seen a lot of LCS play from her. The Hurricane build is popular on her right now, so you get your headshots up more often, so make sure you do a Hurricane IE build, or IE Hurricane build, whichever order you want to get. As for Leona, pretty solid, but haven't seen tons of play from her recently. She fits in certain metas, and I feel like this one could be good for her, but she hasn't seen any positive nerfs or buffs for a while, so she's kind of just in the middle. Nami, I mean, if you need a healing support, she's decent, but you would just take Soraka. There's nothing really too special about Nami right now, although she has good disengage like Zhanna. Ryze, in theory, is very strong, but a few percentage of people can honestly play him at that caliber. I just avoid him because he usually gets nerfed back and forth anyways, so it's kind of not worth your time to play him, in my opinion. And Sol's free, so play him this week if you want to, but I honestly think he's kind of meh. I mean, he's not like bad damage-wise, I just don't think he's that fun. Call me crazy. But that is what's going on for the champions this week. If there's a box around any of these champions' portraits, it will be a link to some type of video for them, whether it's a build and guide or just a fun video or from a stream or something. So check those out. Other than that, I wish all of you the best of luck this week on the Fields of Justice.